Woodward and Billy Martin, and the Yankees want the bat. Look at Martin.
Well, what they're talking about, Frank, is that he's got too much pine tar, and you've got to have a certain amount of distance from the trademark of the bat and the pine tar.
And Nettles is leaving the field as if the game is over. He's just coming in.
I'm not sure. They might have a legitimate gripe. They might be going to call George Brett out.
Well, he's out.
Yes, sir.
Brett is out. Look at this. Brett is out. And
Team is mad.
he is out and having to be forcibly restrained from hitting plate umpire Tim McClellan.
Welcome back to another episode of Too Much Pod Tar.
As this is the fourth episode of our 30 Teams and 30 Pods series. And this is we're going to be talking about the Royals here. And I have a guest on, Royals fan, Trey Johnson. And he's also a Washington Wizards fan. He writes for his own site. Do you want to what's the name of that site that you write for?
Wizards Extra.
He writes for Wizards Extra. He writes about the Washington Wizards basketball team. So, thanks for coming on, Trey.
Oh, no problem, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So, Royals obviously didn't have a great season, but they're in the rebuild right now. They did have a few bright spots. Whit Merrifield, he was an all-star, and he was the Royals' only all-star in 2019. To begin the season, he had that he broke the franchise record for the hit streak, 31 game hit streak. Break George Brett's record, which this is kind of what this podcast is based on. Too much pod tar. That's kind of the theme of the whole thing. That's how we got our name. So it's like too much pod tar. Like instead of pine tar, it's pod because being a pod. So it's kind of how we thought of it.
I did not know that.
Because when you listen to the episodes, it'll be out tomorrow. So whenever you listen to it, the introduction is actually like the audio from when that moment happened, like when he was like running out of the dugout and stuff. So it's like the actual, It's the broadcast of it. And then Jorge Soler, he was another bright spot from the season.
He was
48 home runs, which was a Royals single season record. And also Hunter Dozier, he had 26 home runs / 271, 348, 522, and he kind of came out of nowhere and had a good season there for the Royals. So he was definitely one of the bright spots. And they also one of the last things mentioned was their walk-off that they had in Ned Yost's final game as a manager, as he retired following the season. So
that was a great moment. And probably our most successful manager in history. Probably the best way to end his career.
Definitely, yeah.
A lot of bright spots in that final year.
Yeah. So what are some of the other things you want to mention about their season? What the brightest spots they had?
I would say that the main bright spot of 2019 was more about the growth of our youth and how we were able to develop them. Because, it was a great scene with Merrifield, hit and break the hitting streak and watch him make the All-Star team. Yes, but it was more to do with just we kind of accepted once we lost our core four that this was going to be a long rebuild. And the veterans we signed didn't really pan out, or they weren't really, I don't know what we were doing. But once we kind of got younger and really started to grow as a team, the results didn't really come more in wins and losses. It became more in just how they did on the field. So, as you mentioned, like Soler's home run numbers, most of them came in blowout losses or games that weren't really, tight. But I think if we were just able to have any sort of a pitching staff, like a rotation or even a half a decent bullpen, we would be probably right there, like in the wild card race. But we don't exactly have the pitching staff just quite yet.
Yeah, they definitely need some help there. And talking about the power numbers too, most of their power came from, they didn't really have much power outside of Soler and Dozier. They actually counted for 45% of their home runs. So outside of that, they didn't really get much power out of any of the other batters. So that's definitely something that they can work on. But getting the pitching, as you said too, is definitely a key for them. But they have prospects, as you mentioned before. They have some good prospects that'll be coming up soon. Brady Singer. I don't know if they said that. Is it Singer or Singer?
I think it's Singer.
Singer, yeah, because he's expected to come up, in 2020, and he's their number two overall prospect right now. So
Yeah, he was. The fact that he was already in Double-A in his first pro campaign, and his numbers weren't really that bad. I mean, it was a 3.47 ERA. Strikeout to walk ratio was 3.27. So he should next season be in Omaha, and then maybe in September when the roster call-ups are a little bit bigger. They're not as big as they used to be. I think that's going to be a rule change, but hopefully if he does well enough, we can see Singer at some point in the major leagues next year.
Yeah, I believe next year it's going to be, what is it, 20? Yeah, 26 for. I think it's actually 26 players like on the major league roster, and then 20. I think they make it 28. It's only 28 like for September. It's not 40 anymore.
Yeah.
And so they made it one more for like the rest of the season, but then they only made it to 28 for September call-ups. It's gonna be different because we were used to seeing all these prospects coming up in September, but now it's just gonna be just a few extra. So gonna be
especially if you were a rebuilder, like that rule kills you because you want to see like your prospects get time in the big leagues, and it used to be in September when the AAA season was ending, when the AA season was close to ending, when all those other farm seasons were coming really close to an ending. The major league season was still about 2 weeks left, a week left. You could call someone up and you could really see them play. Although it's a limited small sample size, you could see them get action and see if they might be good enough to play on opening day next year or something.
Right. Yeah. That's definitely a huge thing for rebuilding teams. That's why I'm kind of weary on that rule. And then talking about another rule, I absolutely hate the idea of the 3-batter minimum for pitchers. It just takes away it takes away from the game. That's like one of the that's how you it's kind of like that's how baseball is like chess, because that's how you use those certain things in the game, and I've taken that away. Like what happens if a pitcher gives up grand slam in his first at bat, and then you can't even take him out? It's like, what the hell?
So you can't. Yeah, it's that's a bad one because you can't play matchups anymore. You can't go a lefty on lefty or righty on righty anymore. If you put a lefty in for one guy, you can't do that anymore.
It's the worst part of it's going to be is when it's the playoffs and it's that game that really matters. It's and you get a pitcher that's struggling out there and you can't even take him out after 2 batters. You're like, oh shit, I gotta wait. I gotta make sure he gets through this one batter first before I take him out. It's like, all right.
Exactly, it could cost the team a game. It could cost the team the playoffs.
Yeah. It's it literally ties the manager's hands on that rule. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, if they see that it doesn't work, if it ends up blowing up in their face, then hopefully they just be like, all right, this rule's going. Moving on to next season, obviously Mike Matheny was named as the new manager for next season after Yost left, and he was the Cardinals manager for 7 years, and he did pretty good there. He had an overall record of 591 and 474. He won one National League pennant in 2013, but was never able to get over the hump. Wasn't able to win the World Series that year. and then wasn't able to get back to the World Series after that. So, what are your thoughts on him as the manager? What do you think he's going to be good for you guys? I don't know.
I didn't want this, not gonna lie. I kind of wanted a manager with no big league experience, or maybe someone who had not been a little more successful in the farm. Like I know we're not gonna get the best of the best, but I kind of wanted somebody that was either in our system already, like maybe our bench coach, maybe a third base coach or something like that, our third base coach in Omaha or something like that, to be our new manager, so that we could have kind of a guy who's been around the system. And I know Matheny was an advisor or a consultant, whatever his role was when Ned was the manager. That's kind of how Ned got the job in the first place. So once we hired Matheny in that role, you could kind of already tell that we were going to get him. But I'm kind of worried about this one because although his Cardinal tenure was mostly successful, it ended so bad. Like it was a terrible ending. He didn't make the playoffs twice. A lot of his pitchers just blew up in their face. A lot of his prospects that were pitchers, they blew up in his face, and it didn't work out. They had to dismiss him mid-year in 2018, and by the time they fired him, the new manager Mike Schilt he had them within like a few games of a playoff spot. And then they made it the first full year after him. So I just don't know if our prospects are going to do. I don't know if our pitching prospects are going to do well under him. I'm worried about guys like Singer and Kielar and them being either overused or being taxed early.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious too to see what happens there. Like, I don't know. Maybe it'll be like they'll see what happens the first year, and then if they have to let him go, they will. I don't know. See it kind of like a tryout even. I don't know. Let's try to go with somebody else after that if it doesn't work out. We'll see.
It doesn't help that he used to manage the Cardinals, and that was kind of a thing that I would say many Royals fans we didn't want someone that used to manage the other side. So it's kind of
that's true. Yeah. So moving on to kind of talking about some off-season moves. What do you think? Do you think they're going to be making any moves? Like they haven't really been busy at all making trades or anything. So I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're going to.
Yeah, the only one
thing.
Yeah, doesn't seem like it. The only one notable that we've done so far is Miguel Franco from the Phillies.
Yeah.
Which is very low risk, high reward. He's not going to be anything special, but if he is, we can flip him for a massive haul maybe.
Mm-hmm.
He'll probably be playing. I'm pretty sure either third or short. I think we're moving Witt to the outfield next year, for him to be playing in the infield. But we're probably not going to do much this winter. I mean, this winter's kind of all about just. Again, these next couple of years are all about developing players. Maybe next winter we have a little more payroll flexibility because of, Gordon will be back. And then after 21, Duffy and Perez are both gone off the books. And if we can flip them earlier, then that only increases our payroll flexibility down the road. So once we get all the guys that are making more than like the bare minimum, that's when we're going to really start spending money and trying to make a push. It definitely helps that with ownership change. It definitely helps now that we have Sherman instead of David Glass. We'll be willing to spend more when we're actually competitive. That was kind of the one knock I had on David Glass, was that we never really wanted to spend money, and when we did, it never really came in the right places. And that's where we had like zero chance of re-signing any of our own guys. On another team, even like the Brewers, smaller markets, they re-sign their own guys. So sustained success, I'd say, would be the key now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they have since they finished with the fourth worst record, they have their, they can get another key piece potentially with the fourth overall pick next year's draft. What do you think they're gonna go for that? Like, what position would you think they would go for?
I'd say any kind of pitching help is definitely something that we need to look at, because it's dreadful. Maybe an outfielder. I'm not quite sure exactly what we're looking at, but it'll be interesting to see like in April and May what we're thinking about with college prospects. It's kind of a little too early to tell at the moment. I'm not quite sure where we're headed with that, but it'll definitely be interesting to see in June what we take with a number 4. Who we take.
It's kind of hard to tell right now too, because like obviously we'll have to see and wait until like the college baseball season starts too to see what players like kind of emerge as favorites to be top picks. So last year was obviously Rushman number 1 to the Orioles, and JJ Bleday was the Vanderbilt was the number 4, I believe, to the Marlins. So I'm not really too much into college as much. Like I just kind of I see that when the draft happens, I know like the big players, but then that's it. I don't really get into it.
I'll watch the College World Series when it's on, and I'll see a little bit of the prospects, but I'm not like a nerd on anything. Like I'm not a nerd on like this guy really slashed X amount, X and X in college. I'm not really that big on a player, unless it's like a Mike Trout, a Manny Machado, a Bryce Harper, where you just know, like when they play in college, or in high school, you just know that they're special. And that rarely ever happens. So, like, unless it's, like, a really special player, I don't really pay much attention. I'll watch the College World Series, but for the most part, I don't really know anything about these guys.
Yeah, I just watched the College World Series, too. It's it's tough because they don't really like televise any of the games besides the College World Series. So that's why it's kind of like, that's what you can watch anyway. You can't really get into it.
Exactly.
Like I feel like if it was actually televised more, I would watch it more because I just love baseball in general. So I just watch it even if it's on.
Yeah.
Because I even like last year when Vanderbilt won the College World Series, I was kind of like starting to root for them. Like when they were like going on the run, I started like watching every game of the series and then rooting for them because I kind of like fell in love with Bleday. I was high on him when I was watching him. So. And I'm kind of like a Marlins.
Yeah.
I guess you could say I'm like kind of like a Marlins fan too, because I'm a Yankees fan, so I like Jeter, so I'm like kind of rooting for them too. So I think that was a really good.
Yeah, you're for them to turn it around.
What's that?
You're rooting for them to like kind of turn it around. Try to get back into. Which would be difficult for them because they're in a tough division, but yeah.
It'll be a while, for sure. But the tough thing will be with if the Marlins end up playing the Yankees in the World Series, like that'll be like I'm rooting against Jeter. Like I don't know, like Jeter was my favorite player when he was on the Yankees, so it's like now he's gonna be playing against my favorite team if that ever happened. That'd be kind of funny.
Yeah, that won't happen for a while.
No.
That won't happen for a while.
I'm going to say 2033. That's not, throw that prediction out there.
2033, we're going to have the Marlins and the Royals in the World Series.
Yes. That would be funny. Oh my God. We got to save this now. Well, make sure to see what happens. Put money.
Twitter will know. If Twitter still exists, they'll know.
Put money on it. Oh my God!
I wonder what. I don't even know what the odds will be. I bet both of them are like plus 6,800 or plus what. I don't even know how much, but it'd be wild.
That would be crazy. I don't know. You probably can't even bet that far.
A lot. No way.
Like 13 years in advance. That's no way.
There's no way.
But anyway, for this year, if we're gonna do predictions for this year, I would say. I think it's going to be World Series. I got to go with the Yankees. Even though I'm a Yankees fan, I think they're going to get over the hump this year with Garrett Cole. And then
you should.
Yeah. Like it's been too long. It's been a decade since we went into the World Series. So I mean, it's due. We're due for one. And then
all the decade. You must be having a hard time this year within the winter. All these X team has won more World Series this decade than the Yankees. You must be having a hard time with that right now.
stupid Mets fans get so like Mets fans are like, oh, we made it to a World Series in this decade. The Yankees didn't. It's like, well, who cares? You choked. You lost the World Series. It doesn't matter.
It wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even like six. It wasn't in 7 games or 6 games. It wasn't even really close.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was Royals too. So it must have made you happy.
And I'm a little deluded, but like if you watch those games, like they weren't really close. I mean, Game 5 went to extras. Game 3 was tight. Game 1 was tight until the very end, but it really wasn't that close. You never really thought, like once we got going, it never really looked like they were going to get back in it.
Yeah. That was the year that they kind of like. That's when the bullpen games kind of started. Like you guys started that with like just throwing out bullpen guys, and then for a whole game, like that's how that kind of started. Like using just a bunch of guys thrown together. That was like the first year that teams did that.
Yeah, we had zero. We didn't really have a rotation, and so the Royals just decided in the postseason to say, you know what, we've got 3. This is when like teams needed 2, 3 shutdown guys. Yeah. So we were like, well, if we can get 6 innings from Volquez or Ventura or Young or anybody, we know we've got Herrera, Davis, and Holland to hold the fort. And then if we need to go earlier, we've got other guys. And now you see everybody tries to replicate that. They need that one lefty or that one like really special pitcher. And the Yankees, for example, like they've added, Britton, and when they were competitive, they started trading for big relievers like Britton, and then they added Ottavino last winter when they probably didn't need to, but they just need that extra guy. Yeah. So you see every team trying to do that now.
Yeah, I'm hoping with Ottavino, I'm hoping he can, get the walks down. He was walking so many guys last year. It got annoying, like especially in the playoffs. He was like terrible in the playoffs. Like we didn't even want to put him out there. We put him out there for like one batter, and he walked somebody and then took him out. It was crazy.
Well, but you can't do that next year.
No. But going back to World Series, I think the Yankees against, I don't know. I don't even know who to pick for that. Like, I don't know if the Nationals. I don't think the Nationals are going to be back there, but Philly.
They won't be back.
Phillies have a good shot. They've improved, and they got Didi, and they got Zach Wheeler. And then Joe Girardi. I think he's going to be a good manager for them. So I think Phillies, maybe the Braves. I don't know. No,
I don't buy the Braves.
Braves need pitching. They need bullpen pitching. Well, they got Will Smith this year, but
they need bullpen. Will Smith's good, and they were like very proactive early on signing guys, but they need that one. I mean, I know they have, I know they have guys, but they need a real like ace pitcher in that rotation. I just don't feel like they have that at the moment. Bumgarner would have been perfect for him, but they whiffed on him. So they need that one guy in the rotation.
Yeah, definitely. And what other teams? I don't know. I'm trying to think of even other teams that could be contending.
Dodgers.
Yeah, Dodgers are always going, but they haven't really done anything this offseason either. So, I look at teams and see the teams that proved, but then like the Dodgers they lost in the the NLDS, and then I think I don't know. It feels like they made it they had their shot 2 years in a row, and then now they're done. I feel like. I mean, they have the talent, of course, there still, but I don't know. I think
if they trade for Lindor, they could be there. And then if they trade for Lindor, or if they go big on a arm, I do think though. I think losing Hyunjin Ryu though is going to really hurt them.
Yeah, it will. They still got Kershaw. They have Buehler. What else do they have in that rotation? I'm trying to think. I don't know, but But they,
Rich Hill, although he's
oh yeah,
I don't even know what his status is going to look like next year with all the trouble he's gotten into.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But like I thought they would have got one of the big pitchers, like Frazier pitchers. I thought they would have went after somebody, or at least re-signed Ryu, but they didn't even do that.
I don't think anyone thought Ryu was going to leave the Dodgers. I don't think.
No.
Surprised Toronto paid the odds for him though, out of all teams.
That was kind of weird. I was like, why would the Blue Jays even do that? Like, they're rebuilding. Why would they sign this? Why would they, like, especially, they kind of overpaid for him too, I think. Like, I don't know why he would do that.
It's like $20 million a year, am I right? Yeah,
I believe so.
something like that.
I said on one of the other pods for one of the other teams, I was saying the Yankees, I think, have like not to be like too confident about the Yankees, but like I feel like they have an easy path to another division like championship, because like Red Sox, I think they were good last year, and they might end up trading away some of the guys. Like, I don't know about, probably not Mookie, but they're traded some other pieces. And the Rays.
Mookie could go.
Like, the Rays are, they were good last year, but I don't know. I don't really buy them. But then, because like they use the open. I don't really buy the opener strategy anymore. Like, well, I mean it works, but not every day. Like, not doing they don't do it every day, but like they do it so much. I just don't think it's gonna end up working in the end. But then, like, obviously the rest of the division is just the Blue Jays, the Orioles, and then Blue Jays they'll be there eventually, but not this year. Like, I'll be probably scared of them in a few years, because like Vlad Jr., Bo Bichette, all those guys, they're gonna be good. Well, they just need the pitching too. I mean, Ryu, we'll see what happens with him. I don't know if he's gonna do good in the AL East. So with all those small parks, I don't think he's gonna do good.
A lot of small parks, a lot of really good hitters in the AL East too. Yeah.
But then Orioles, obviously Orioles are the Orioles. They're gonna.
Orioles are the worst. Orioles might be the worst team in baseball right now.
Yeah, they are.
Like, it's not even close. I mean,
they finished with the second worst record, but they're the worst.
Yeah, it's between them and the Tigers, but
yeah,
they're worse off. At least the Tigers were able to get, parts for their guys. The Orioles didn't sell anybody.
Yeah.
And it cost them.
Yeah, it's gonna take so many years for them to get good. Like, even when
they have guys like they
need to get out from it's probably gonna take until they get out from under Davis's contract that they actually start getting better.
Yeah. They handed contracts to like all the wrong guys. Chris Davis and Mark Trumbo, when they signed those deals, they never really worked like they did before that. You let Machado walk, which you probably didn't have a chance at re-signing him anyway, but you let him go.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Jones, you didn't want back, and then the rest of those guys, they just didn't, they weren't able to bring back either. It's just, nothing was able to materialize, and they re-signed the wrong guys, and they were paying the price.
Yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be so long.
Yeah, the Yankees should walk the AL East.
Yeah.
As much as it would pain the baseball world, they should walk it. And I don't know about the Red Sox and how good they'll be. They couldn't trade Mookie if David Price, they can't find a deal for him. But I think they're more rebuilding now.
Yeah, it seems like every year the Red Sox win the World Series, they end up sucking next year. Like 2000, I think it was 2007. 2008 they were like terrible too, and then what was it?
2014.
20. What was the other year they won? 2013. Yeah, the 2014 they sucked again, And then 2018 they won, and then
They were good in 05.
yeah, 05, yeah, but it's like more
Playoffs
recent.
that year. That's the only good. But more recently, they've not been as good.
Yeah, they just it seems like they just have they're like a one hit wonder. Like that's where it's like the Red Sox are just trying to win one, but then like it's like the Yankees. The Yankees are the opposite of that. They want to win a bunch because they want to just build a dynasty, and keep going. Get to 30 championships. That's what Garrett Cole even said at his press conference. He's like, I want to get this team to 30. I want to end up getting out over 30 World Series, like in the time that I'm here. So I think they have a good shot.
He's got 9 years to try to do it.
Yeah, to get 3 and 9, that's still pretty good though. So, like, Red Sox won 3 and 9, didn't they? Yeah, because they won 2004, 2007, 2013. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, going over to the back to the Royals. Like we talk about some of the division. What are your thoughts on that division? What do you think about it?
That division's a real tire fire right now. Like it's probably the worst division in baseball by a country mile. And I'm not just saying this because I'm like a Royals fan, but you look at the division, right? The Indians are blowing it up. Lindor might go to the Dodgers. Kluber might be dealt. After that, they're not much. They didn't make the playoffs with those guys, so if they lose them, they're probably going to be mediocre. Not really close to the basement, they'll be mediocre at best. And then the Twins are good, but I don't buy them. I don't buy them in October, and I don't buy them in general because they do good one year and then they don't do well the next year. And then even when they get to October, they're just kind of like when they won the division this year, they got in kind of by default. And then we saw what happened in the divisional round. They couldn't even compete with the Yankees.
Yeah, which is like,
and then
this happens because it's like their kryptonite, basically.
It's been that for a good 15 years, right? Plus.
Yeah, something like that. Oh yeah, but then going back to the Indians, you said Kluber might be traded. He was traded to the Indians.
Yeah, he was. I forgot about that. It was.
I mean, not the Rangers.
So he's already gone.
The
Rangers.
I think.
So he's a Ranger, and then Lindor's probably going to go to the Dodgers, and then after that, there could be many more moving parts.
Yeah.
It'll be a while before they get back. Their shot was 2016. Then. You know, we kind of say the same thing about small markets. Is like they have one shot. When they have a window, they usually have one shot at a World Series, and when they don't get it, it really stings. And I remember thinking that for 2014, I thought the Royals would never get back there. Like that to me, that was the World Series we were going to win, and we didn't. It was very surprising to get back there in 2015. So not many teams have two chances, especially if you're a smaller market with the whole budget cuts and especially if ownership's cheap. It's harder to get back there. And the Indians had their chance in 2016 and never really followed it up, and now they gotta tear it down, or at least they are.
Yeah. And the other thing with the Twins, like I thought they would have went for one of the bigger pitching free agents this year. They didn't I thought maybe they would have at least got like somebody like Bumgarner or Keuchel or somebody like that, but they didn't get anyone. Like they haven't even done anything this offseason. Like I thought they would have done something.
I'm not sure, man. I think they're committed to their guys. I guess they like what they had, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, the only real notable. Have they done anything?
I don't think they got anybody.
They got
re-signed. Who do they re-sign? They re-signed somebody from the pitching staff.
They got Tyler Clippard. That's who they got.
Oh, well. He's not scary.
Yeah, he's not exactly great.
James Order, they signed Odorizzi.
Yeah, they brought him back.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's not bad. He's good. He's a good piece to have. But I thought they would have at least brought somebody
Another
else.
part with the yeah, you would have thought someone else would have come in. I guess another part with the Twins is like they're not a very noticeable destination. Like they don't really have the appeal. Like they're not necessarily a winning team, and they're not. Minnesota isn't exactly glamorous to anybody, so they have a hard time probably getting people.
Yeah.
Although I've heard they're in the mix for Josh Donaldson, so they're like one of 500 teams in the mix for Josh Donaldson. So I don't know if they probably won't get him, but
I don't think he's gonna go there. Yeah. I was thinking maybe the Phillies for him. Maybe the Nationals because they need somebody for Rendon now.
It's really him or nothing. They don't have the guy. They don't have the prospects to get Chris Bryant. So.
Oh yeah, right. But what did we forget a team in that division? Who else? We said Indians, Twins,
Tigers.
Tigers.
Tigers are the less said about them, the better. They're stuck with Miguel Cabrera and a bunch of random dudes that they either are stuck with their bad contracts or they just can't. They just don't have anyone really. They don't have any real notable prospects yet. And then the White Sox, I think the White Sox will win the division next year. They've been spending a lot of money. They got Encarnacion yesterday. They got Dallas Keuchel. They're really strengthening their team, and I think they'll win the Central next year. They're out of the basement. They've said for a long time that I think they said 2021 was it 2021 World Series champions that they noted about, either that or 20, but they're either a year away or they're close now. But I think they'll make it this year, but they won't like win it all. But I think 2021 when they get a full year out of everybody, then they'll be a World Series contender.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they'll win the division too. I think the Twins are going to fall off, and then obviously the Indians are, kind of throwing everything out, trying to rehash everything. So yeah, I think
there's 3 teams.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. There's like as I was gonna say there's 3 teams that are rebuilding, and then there's 2 teams. One's kind of in limbo, the other one's contending. That's kind of how the Central works.
And the White Sox, they're one of the most busiest teams this offseason. Like, probably like I saw a list that was like the top 3. I mean, top 10 that like best, most improved teams of the offseason so far, and it was like I think the White Sox were actually number 1. The White Sox 1, Yankees 2, and then the Angels 3. So I agree with that too. I think they're probably the most improved, or at least the second most improved team, because they got who else did they get? Oh, they got Grandal.
Is a big get. They went low risk with Gio Gonzalez.
Yeah, and then what was the other guy? Keuchel. Yeah, they got Keuchel. So they'll be in good shape for sure.
They're gonna have a good. Yeah, it's gonna be a good rotation. And then that Quintana trade looks better every day.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I don't know what the Cubs are doing with that trade.
They were desperate. They wanted to try to go back-to-back, and they were going to pay anything for a pitcher that year. And the Brewers kind of sparked him because the Brewers really wanted him, and they were just like, you know what, we can't let him go to the division rival. Let's just throw all the chips on the table.
Yeah, it's like 2016, the World Series that year now is like both teams are kind of in limbo because the Cubs missed the playoffs last year. Now, well, both teams missed the playoffs, obviously. And then, so now they're kind of just, looks like they're going to be, trading away pieces like Chris Bryant might be traded, now Lindor might be traded. So it's like after that 1 year they didn't make it.
think Lindor's got a better chance of going than KB. I can see a situation where the Cubs are just going to keep Chris Bryant, and I think they still believe that they can possibly extend him. Like it's not like he's got a year left. They've got 2 years to try to work things out. But he is a Boris client, so it's probably not going to happen.
Right. But yeah, we talked about a lot of some of the other prospects for the Royals. But there's also we got next year. There's also Khalil Lee. He's their number 4 prospect. He's outfield prospect who's probably going to be making his debut next year at some point because he was up at Double-A last year. So he was
up in Double-A. I don't know. It increased. Like his batting average was up 15 points. His on base and slugging as well. They were all up by at least 15. And then, I mean, everything was up. Everything went up last year, but he's got potential. But there's plenty of room for him to improve. I don't think he's exact. He may not be exactly ready. I'm not quite sure. I don't know. The limited roster spot I think's got him. I think he'll probably stick around on the farm. I don't think he makes it next year.
Mm-hmm.
He might. He got a lot of outfielders, so.
Not next year. It'll probably be the year after as long as he improves. But
we got a lot of outfielders. That's kind of like our strength at the moment is we have all these guys platooning. So I don't think he's gonna have a hard time trying to make it in.
Yeah. And then also you got, as I mentioned before, Brady Singer. He'll definitely make it. He did really good there, but last year he made it to Double-A.
Hey.
Yeah, when he was at just Advanced A, in 10 starts he went 5-2 with a 1.87 ERA, 52 to 13 K to walk rate, and he just allowed 1 home run in 57 2/3 inning, and then right after that is when he earned his promotion to Double-A. So he did pretty good Double-A. He struggled at the beginning, but then after that he went he got a 2.18 ERA and 65 to 16 K to walk rate in his last 10 starts. So he did pretty well. So I think he'll definitely start in Double-A next year. So he'll be up.
I read somewhere that it was sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I read somewhere about Singer that he his release is lower, is a very low release, and it makes him very vulnerable to left-handed hitters. So that's kind of his Achilles heel is his against lefties he just kind of crumbles. But he does 2 good pitches. Probably could use a third. But he'll definitely do damage if he makes it to the bigs. I think he'll have success. I just don't know if he's a starter or reliever yet. I hope he's a starter, but I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, it's kind of tough with some of the guys for sure. But it's like a lot of big prospects. They look like they could be starters, but they kind of just they end up working out more as relievers because they can't put as much innings in. They're good for just like an inning or two. So it's like a lot of times that's how it happens. Is what a lot of these pitchers, especially nowadays too. Like the game has changed a lot. Now guys that throw hard are going to be in the bullpen like almost automatically.
Yeah, and Wade Davis was a starter when he first started, and we all know how that went. He went to the bullpen and became an absolute shutdown closer, and then Kenta Maeda about 2 years ago was a starter, and then he just couldn't get past. I think it was he couldn't get past. He couldn't go more than like 3 or 4 innings, and they made him into a reliever, and it's worked.
Yeah, that's Dylan Betances actually started in the Yankees system. He started as a starter, but then he moved to the bullpen and it worked out. So now he signed with the Mets now. So So I'm sad the Yankees couldn't bring him back or didn't choose to bring him back, but that's all right. We have a lot of other bullpen arms anyway, so I think he'll be good with the Mets. He's gonna give him a good relief option. But yeah, with the Royals, there's another guy to talk about for next year. One of the prospects, Jackson Kielar. He's another right-hand pitcher, and he was
both
Double A last year. No, sorry.
right. Both he and Singer played in the Futures game the previous year. Both he and Singer did. I think both I think both went scoreless. Both had scoreless innings in that game. Both should be coming up around the same time. I'm definitely excited for both those guys, especially Singer. But Cora's got stuff that I haven't seen much of him though, so that's kind of the part that I'm not sure about.
Yeah, I don't really know much about him either, but I'm reading a little bit about him here. He throws about 94, around 94. He can't top out at 98. But the one thing he does have to work on is his command, and secondary pitches. He doesn't have as much as on that. So those are the pitch. What does he has to work on? He did have a pretty solid 78 to 21 K to walk rate last year at Double A. So he's with a little bit more work, he'll definitely get to that spot to be able to make it. I'll probably see him more as a relief pitcher too. So we'll see. But he'll probably be more of a guy like an innings eater guy.
Yeah, they've said he should be able to handle a 30-start workload. And he started 13 times in high and Double A. In Double A, he started 13 times. I don't remember what he did in high A, but they've said that he needs to get a better changeup, and he needs to try to bend his pitches more to try to get better swinging. But I mean, he's part of a group that has 100+ innings in them, and then 80% fastballs plus changeups. So I think I saw like 6 right-handers, which he is one. There's like 6 right-handers in the big leagues that have that 100+ innings and 80% fastballs and changeups. I think there's 6 in that group. It's like Kyle Hendricks, Chris Paddock, Zach Davis, Luis Castillo, Lucas Giolito, and Trevor Richards. So like some are better, some have better fastballs, some have better changeups, some are better pitches as a whole. But that group bodes pretty well for a car.
Right. And it's going like on some other just prospects. What are some of the players you would watch for, like on the team? That's on the team right now. Like we talked about some of the other guys. But.
Well, this guy's kind of been a faller. He's kind of fallen off a little bit. But Sully Matthias is one we haven't touched on.
No, we didn't mention.
We all remember him from the Futures game about a couple of years ago when he had 2 homers in that game. I think he was MVP of that. And then since then he's got very good power. He's got very raw talent. A lot of power, but he just doesn't. He's kind of a hit or miss type of player. He's got one of the 10 worst strikeout rates in the minors, which doesn't matter as much as it used to, because now teams want that guy that strikes out a lot but can hit like 50 homers. So they're more forgiving about it. But he's way worse than what you need out of a power hitter. Like, he's way too inconsistent. He's probably going to fall off a little bit this year. He's got time, but definitely needs to cut the strikeout rate a little bit.
What would you say? Say your prediction is for what the record is going to be. Do you think it would be a little bit more improved from last year?
I mean, I don't want to be too optimistic because last year I thought we were gonna really be one of the more improved teams in the league, and I thought we were gonna win around. I thought we'd be around 70 wins.
Mm.
I'm not gonna say. I think this year we'll probably win. I think we'll be like mid-60s this year. I don't think we'll be that much better, but I think somewhere around 65 wins is fair. And I don't, again, like last year, it's not going to show on the field. It's going to show more of individually. I think they're going to get better. Mondesi's going to heal from his shoulder. Dozier's going to have another year. Solaire's going to have another year. And just in general, the same group of position players, for the most part, gets another year playing together. And then maybe we see Singer and Core in September, and we see just exactly how their success translates in the bigs. Maybe, hopefully, we ship Kennedy and Duffy off.
Yeah.
We get Perez back, who's always a fan favorite. But yeah, I think it'll be more enjoyable than last year, but not by much. That makes sense.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think around 65 wins is fair. Yeah. Definitely somewhere around there. So yeah, I guess that'll be the end of the podcast, unless there's something else you want to add.
Nah, I'm all right. I'm all right. I think we covered everything.
All right, and then just make sure you follow. I didn't go through this at the beginning, but make sure you follow Trey on Twitter at Real Mr. Perfect, and it's spelled REEL. And then Mr. Perfect. So find him there, and he writes, as I said at the beginning too, he writes for Wizards United, Wizards Extra, yeah.
Wizards Extra.
Yeah. So you find if you like the Wizards for basketball, you can go read up on it there on his site, on his blog. So yeah, and make sure you find the podcast anywhere you find podcasts, and be on the lookout for the rest of the series as we go over all 30 teams. And next it'll be the Blue Jays, which will be recording some point next week. So I'll have Frank, my buddy Frank from the Scorecrow, on there. So definitely check that out when that comes out. And yeah, and this off season has been going really good so far. It's been a lot of stuff's been happening, going down. So at the end of the off season, we'll probably have another podcast to kind of go over all the moves that happened and looking forward to the season. So yeah, definitely check that out. Check the Scorecrow out on the Scorecrow, and follow myself at Alex Kielar, ALEXKIELAR. And the Scorecrow's gonna be doing some. We'll have some big things planned for 2020, so be on the lookout for a lot of big things going down. So if you don't have another podcast before the New Year's, Happy New Year to everybody. Happy holidays. So definitely enjoy it and have a good 2020.